Hey friends, welcome to my YouTube channel, Happily Even After with Life Coach Jen. So this is my very first episode that I'm doing on YouTube, and what better thing to talk about than what just happened at the Coldplay concert. It's been a few days, right? And there's a lot of talk about it and a lot of drama and a lot of memes going around, and I don't think that meme will ever go away, sadly for that couple and sadly for their families. But I just want to talk to you if you had any reaction to that experience. And I'm going to talk to you about it because I'm a betrayal coach. And this is what I do, is I help people heal from betrayal. And I just find it very fascinating to have watched that with the world and the different reactions that people experienced. So the first thing I want to point out is that when the camera landed on the couple, their immediate body responded and they hid. And I think if we need to know what does shame look like, this is exactly what shame looks like. Shame tells us we need to hide, because before they noticed, they were having a great time. But they knew that they were doing something wrong. They weren't supposed to be there touching each other like that. They weren't supposed to be in an embrace because they were married. Now, it sounds like both of them were married, but for sure the man was married. And the woman was also, I think, in a relationship, and they worked together. So there's a lot of things going on here. And when you feel shame, you want to hide. So I think going to the Coldplay concert, this is what's so painful. I'm just going to talk to what I imagine the wife is experiencing, because maybe they had a conversation. Maybe the spouse, both spouses said, hey, I'm going to this work thing. We're going to this concert. And okay, that's probably normal. If you're a CEO of a company, you're probably going to lots of concerts. And so that's a normal thing. And maybe the spouse wanted to go, or she didn't care, or he didn't care, or they had plans, or someone needed to stay home and watch the kids. So it's possible that they thought, okay, I told my spouse what I was doing, so I'm not lying. However, they didn't say the whole truth. The whole truth was, hey, I'm going to this Coldplay concert and I'm actually having an affair with the HR person. Or, hey, I'm having an affair with the CEO, right? They left that part out. And so I think it's important, because oftentimes our spouse who is betraying us, they tell us partial truths so that they can feel like they are at least trying to be honest, right? It's like imaginary way of honesty, and it's not the whole truth. The whole truth was, hey, because if they said, hey, I'm going to the Coldplay concert with my affair partner, there's no way that they're going to the Coldplay concert, right? There's going to be a conversation. Who knows? We don't know their relationship. We don't know what was going on, but this is just what I'm thinking. Anyways, so they get caught. Now, had they not reacted, no one would have thought anything about it. They weren't famous to the world. They just were very high-powered business person, but the person at the Coldplay concert wouldn't have recognized them. But because they knew they were doing something wrong, their reaction even made Chris Martin think, wow, you guys are either having an affair or you're really shy. And he was spot on, right? They were having an affair. What else I want to point out with this is, now, there were lots of things going around, like, did he make a statement? Did he not make a statement? Who knows? But one of the statements I did read, so if he did make this statement, was, hey, we were having such a great night, and then you guys ruined it, which tells me that they went to that concert to be together, right? They had the guise of their business. And I think there's some ethics involved, because I think the company probably bought those tickets and that suite. And so they were using their company's money to have this illicit affair. So that's probably unethical, in my opinion, to do that. But people do it all the time. There's a lot of CEOs in this world and business people that are having affairs. Most affairs, many affairs, start in the workplace. It makes sense. I hate the term work wife or work husband. We need to get away from using that. It just sets the wrong tone for your marriage and for any boundaries with the person. That person might hear that. It's just things get fuzzy and can get hard to draw the line. But anyways, what else he was saying was, you invaded my privacy and I didn't consent to that. And what I want to say to that, now, I don't know if he said that. I think it's alleged and he might not have. But I think a lot of people say, well, you invaded my privacy. I didn't consent. Person having the affair, CEO Andy, your wife didn't consent, I'm guessing, for you to have an affair and for you to have sex with another woman and then come home and have sex with her. Because I guarantee that was happening. It happens all the time in affairs. And so this is a problem. If that person thinks he is above something that he needed consent for, then he needs to go tell his wife, hey, I am tempted. I want to have this affair. What do you think about it? Are you okay with it? Have that conversation or get divorced. Right? If you don't want to be in your marriage, but the problem is he probably does want to be in his marriage. He just blew up his entire life for a little fun or whatever he felt he was having, as well as she did. They literally dropped a bomb and now the whole world watched it get dropped. What I did appreciate, because it doesn't happen enough, is that no one was blaming his wife or her husband. They were holding that couple accountable for what they did. But so often in the real world, the wife gets blamed for their spouse having an affair, or the husband gets blamed. Maybe you weren't being very nice, you weren't meeting their needs, you weren't having enough sex. Whatever the reason that the spouse gives for having an affair isn't okay. The answer is that's what they chose, and it isn't the spouse's fault. I'm not saying their marriage was perfect and they're perfect, but the affair was their decision alone. And that can't be blamed on the spouse. It can't even be blamed on the affair partner, right? Because chances are that spouse was saying a whole other lie. Now, in this situation, I guarantee that both of them knew that the other person was married and they did it anyways. Okay. Another thing I want to point out is I really admire Astronomer for having him resign. And I hope that she also loses her job, because if they really truly believe in their values, which they say they do, they need to uphold that. And I think that's the harsh tragedy of affairs. Oftentimes when people are making a lot of money for a company, they aren't getting let go because they are more valuable financially. They're like looking the other way morally. But I think a lot less people might choose to have an affair if they knew their job was on the line. But I think they kind of subconsciously know it. They know their family. If their family finds out, they might lose their family. But I think many people think my wife won't leave me. I know for sure in my marriage, because I kept on staying. I did. I totally stayed. I think because I didn't leave and I kept on forgiving, then maybe he got more comfortable in having more affairs. I don't know. And it's like, oh, my kids will forgive me. Well, you don't have control over your kids, what they will or won't do, especially when they become adults. And so you're risking a lot for a very risky behavior. Just want your brain to be, this is really, we're talking from the affair partner's perspective. We just watched it play out on TV, on these reels, and to see their reaction. And I'm guessing they didn't think that they were going to get caught. They thought they were being sneaky. They thought their inner circle was strong enough. Who knows what they thought, but that's just what I'm assuming and guessing. The average person, it's so devastating to find out, however you find out. Now, I have so much compassion and empathy for Andy's wife, as well as her husband. I think Kristen is her name, her husband or partner. because they had to find out their spouse was having an affair, possibly on national TV and all over the internet. Now, it is possible because our body usually warns us, is telling us, is like, she might have been thinking like something feels off here. I don't know. But oftentimes we just can't pinpoint it, and we're just trying to grasp for straws and ask our spouse. We want to believe our spouse. We want to believe that they're honest and being honest with us. And so of course we believe them. And then we come to find out that, oh, our gut was right and we were listening to the lie. And if that is you, just have lots of love and compassion for yourself, because I get it. It's normal. That is okay that you did that, but now you have more information and now you can decide what you want to do. So for whatever reason, this experience, I feel like, brought the world to realize, and what I loved is, like, infidelity, affairs are wrong. And I would say majority of people believe that still. It is a 10 commandment for a reason. Now, there is the outliers that think open marriages are the way to go, or swinging or whatever. But I think the average person, like me and you, believe affairs are wrong. Affairs ruin marriages. Affairs are not good for our society. They aren't helpful. And so I saw that collectively as people were commenting. Now, the other thing, I think a lot of people were making jokes about it. And the one thing, if you start following me, listening to my podcast, and following me on Instagram, I do make a lot of jokes about cheating and affairs, because that is how I've healed. It is such a heavy topic and it is so painful that if we don't bring humor into it, you might feel like you're dying. So that's one of my coping mechanisms that I have found to be helpful. If it's not helpful for you and you find yourself getting offended or defensive about the jokes, or thinking that people are being not supportive or not compassionate, that's just good information for you. And maybe that's not your way, and that's okay. But for me, I found a lot of the things funny and humorous. Not that I was laughing at him, the situation, but like, oh my gosh, this is like so awful. We've got to make a joke about it. I, of course, have so much compassion for Andy's wife and their kids. This is going to be a lot of healing. And the other thing, I think so many people are just like, of course she's going to get divorced. I think that's harmful. We can't tell someone else what to do with their marriage. And you don't want to be told what to do with your marriage. Oftentimes, the truth is, most people want to stay married. They don't want to get divorced, even after an affair. Now, sometimes it's inevitable that you're going to get divorced. In my life, I stayed married for 26 years, and yes, I am divorced now, but it took a lot of affairs and a lot to get me to get divorced, because I wanted to hold on to my family. I believed that my spouse for sure would change this time. But as I healed, I feel like a lot of the manipulation, the gaslighting, a lot of the emotional abuse that goes along with affairs, I was able to see more clearly and realize, no, he wasn't going to change. And so everyone has a different timeline. And so if you or someone you know is experiencing infidelity in their lives, just have lots of love and compassion for them. And it's their marriage. It's not your marriage. What you think that they should do, even what I think you should do, doesn't matter. Only what you think you should do matters. And so be careful about assuming that they're for sure going to get divorced. They might really have the opportunity to work on it. And I believe people can change if they want to. This was a hard pill to swallow, to have the entire internet world know your downfall, your lies, your deceit. The fall was far for them. And it's going to take a lot to recover from that, but I believe repair is always possible. I think I'm very optimistic in that way. For sure, repair is possible, but they got to do the work. That's different for everyone. And That's okay. Also, divorce is okay. Divorce might be the answer. And divorces can get messy, but they also can not be messy. They don't have to be if you don't make them messy. So anyways, that's just my take on this whole thing. I feel like the world's talking about infidelity this week. For me, that feels hopeful that people are realizing this destroys families. This isn't a good thing for our society. This isn't okay. It isn't okay. It is destructive. It's painful. So if you have experienced betrayal, if you're stuck and wondering, where do I go? What do I do? I can totally help you. I have done my own healing so that I can help people like you also heal from betrayal and get off the roller coaster, get off the nightmare that you find yourself on, the spin. Have an awesome day, and I will see you next week.